as I mentioned, these guys are the smallest fox species in the world. That's because they are found in the Sahara Desert in northern Africa. You'll see a trend with mammals. Those that live in the desert tend to be much smaller, and then those that live towards the poles tend to be much larger. Think of things like polar bears and walruses. And that's because it all has to do with containing their body heat. And if I could have you scoot back just a little bit, that's all right.
Didn't realize you were checking me out.
But the reason is small mammals have a large surface area to volume ratio, so that makes it very easy for them to lose heat. Whereas it's the exact opposite for large mammals. They hold on to the heat very well. And you'll probably notice the very first thing on here is his massive ears. These guys have the largest ears in relation to their body size of any canine in the world. And it's full of blood vessels. So what happens is the warm blood from their body travels up into the ears because of that large surface area, loses a lot of heat. Then the cool down blood travels down the rest of their body, and that's how these guys stay nice and cool. We like to call it their built-in ear conditioning. Also gives them an excellent sense of hearing. They'll listen to any prey that might be hidden underground. Any guesses to what these guys will all be eating?
Worms.
Worms and other insects, but their favorite snack of all is actually emperor scorpions. Of course, that scorpion's going to have that venomous stinger. These guys don't have to worry about it, though, because you'll see in a couple minutes with how fast they are. A scorpion usually won't even have a chance to sting them. But on the off chance that they do get stung, these guys actually have their own built-in immune system that will break down the poison.
Like a honey badger.
Exactly. And so they don't have to worry even if they do get stung. They might get some swelling, but nothing very serious. But they have a couple other adaptations for dealing with the heat. But one thing that's a bit odd when people first see these guys is just how thick their fur is. For a desert animal, that's because they are nocturnal, and at night in the Sahara Desert, it can get to near freezing. So they actually do need a pretty thick coat, especially during the winter, help them stay warm in those cold desert nights.
So have you changed their behavior? Because they're all very active right now.
No. So they do adapt to, because they are ambassadors, they do kind of adapt to our schedule. So these guys do tours and programs. They know that's when they get their snacks. So they do adapt to, they'll wake up once they see and hear us. But then after we're out of here, they tend to go back to taking their nap. There are times when I had to come here at night, and they're definitely much more active at that time of day, I will say. Now, another thing they have to deal with the heat is this sand, this coat that looks like sand. It's going to help reflect that sunlight. That way they absorb less heat. And underneath, you will see they have black fur on the bottom. And that's basically their built-in sunscreen to make sure they don't get a sunburn. And if you guys would like to, you can use 2 fingers, touch them right along his back here.
So soft. Oh my goodness.
Great
Is she
job,
scared,
Phoenix.
or she's just snuggling in?
No, he's just snuggling in.
Oh my goodness.
Phoenix is always our trainee fennec fox because he got some extra loving care when we first got him, because he was actually very sick and some vets thought he might have had distemper.
Oh.
So they turned us away, and we had to hand raise him after that point, nurse him back to health.
So you didn't have it?
No, he didn't. He was under 2 pounds. If he had distemper, he would have been dead.
Oh my gosh, look at his face.
Yep. But we gave him the name Phoenix because we say he was a phoenix that rose from the ashes. But it's spelled wrong. It has an F. We have themes with some of our animals, and with the fennec foxes, they all have F names. Like little Phoenix here. Now, I'll show you guys another cool adaptation these guys have. If you look at his feet, you'll see they can't really see his toe beans because they're all covered in fur. These are basically his built-in sand shoes. That way he can make sure he doesn't break through the surface of the sand, and help make sure he doesn't burn his feet.
It's like Tinkerbell. I have Golden the same way, and I have to shave her feet.
Now, they are, like most foxes, they are monogamous. They will mate for life, and they're the most social of the foxes, so they live in small family groups. Pups will stay with mom and dad until they're big and strong enough to go off and start their own family units. Now, being the most social of the foxes, it makes them most chatty. They have a large range of vocalizations. You kind of got to hear the little yipping greeting noises, but they also have some territorial noises. One of them we like to call is their whistle bark. They make this long whistle noise followed by a sharp bark noise. That's basically their last warning. It's like, hey, you better back off or I'm going to bite at you. Now, we do have a bit of a atypical social structure with these guys, because typically people may hear alpha male and alpha female with dogs, but really what alpha male and alpha female are mom and dad. So these guys are all pseudo siblings. They didn't come from the same litter. They're pretty close in age. Phoenix and Flip are only 10 days apart. Fig there, though, he's about 2 years older. We always thought he would kind of be the one to take charge, but turns out with little Phoenix here. Now, unfortunately, these guys are getting caught up in the illegal pet trade. I blame Instagram and TikTok for that, because people see these guys. We always say animals are trained, not tamed here, because they are a wild animal at the end of the day. Still have territorial tendencies, and they will still act on those wild instincts. And that's how a lot of people that try to keep these guys as pets will get bitten a lot of time. Also, you don't want them because they're very smelly. They are the second smelliest animal I work with. I will take these guys off-site for educational programs. And a lot of times I smell the car. I think I forgot to put on deodorant, but turns out it's just these little guys.
Ferrets are like that too. We had
Yes,
a
we have
ferret.
a couple ferrets, and they're very
Yeah.
stinky too. Now, do you guys have any questions about my friend Phoenix here?
Can we take him home?
No, you definitely don't want to
He's
do that.
adorable.
I do love him, but I would never have him as a
Oh my
pet.
gosh, I love his face.
If you want to, you can take photos with me holding him next to you guys if you would
That
like.
would
You
be
want to do that,
lovely.
Judy?
Yes, please.
Go on up
We're
there.
gonna share.
I am.
They'll probably be a bit slower today because we do have a couple tours that they'll be participating in.
Slower.
Yeah, that's like miso and latte fighting over food.
Yeah.
We do have to give each one of them their own puzzle boards because they do get territorial over them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any Babas.
I don't either. Sorry, babe.
You guys finished already?
That's fast.
Yep. So you can see with how fast they gobble those guys down, how a scorpion really wouldn't have a chance if these
No.
guys do this.
They bite the business in first, probably.
Yep, they definitely do grab by the tail to shake it off first.
So do you save any of the scorpions you find on the ranch and feed it to them?
So we never feed any wild-caught insects or invertebrates because the reason is they could carry parasites.
Right.
Okay.
All the feeder insects we use are captive bred and raised. That way we know what they've been consuming.
Got it.
All right, but just like we did with Frodo, you guys, Fig, you,
Got it? Got it? Oops, it dropped. Right there. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, here it is.
Watch your head.
there you go, Figgy.
Got it?
There you go.
Great job.
Good mix.
Cute. Then another one. Yeah.
If you want, you can give one to Flip down there.
Yeah, he's waiting patiently.
All right. Great job. Two of our king Jews, her parents actually, were rescued from a backyard breeder. And then the rest were oopsie babies because mom was on an implant. Not always successful though, hence why we got their kit here now. And then we had another king Jew, his name Linus. He lives with her sister Kaya. He was also rescued from a breeder situation. But
Now they're related to monkeys, aren't they? Since they
they
have
are
prehensile
not.
tails.
But
Oh.
they do have a prehensile tail. They're
Okay.
actually another member of the raccoon family.
Oh, okay.
They just kind of do the job that monkeys have at nighttime instead. They get the name honey bear as well because they have a horrible sweet tooth. Because in the wild, they'll actually shove their face into a beehive and lick up all delicious honey inside with a tongue that's about 5 to 6 inches long. Of course, there's going to be all sorts of bees in there, but she won't have to worry about them because their fur is so thick, a bee stinger cannot reach her skin. Another thing that can't reach her skin is actually water. Because of how thick their fur is, it's like they have a built-in raincoat. Now, even though she doesn't have fur on the end of her tail, you guys can touch her right on the end of her tail here.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's so cool.
Is she related to the sloth?
Not related to sloths at all. Sloths are actually more closely related to things like anteaters and armadillos.
Okay.
But these guys are a very important animal because what goes in must come out, so they'll eat the fruit, poop out the seeds. Eventually, those will grow into new trees, and those are going to provide homes and food. But they can get anywhere from 50 to 75 pounds.
Are we just snorting?
Yep, that's kind of their greeting towards one another. But they have very poor eyesight, whereas king Jews have excellent eyesight. So these guys, they don't have that great of vision. So instead, they're going to rely much more on their excellent sense of smell, which brings me to my favorite fact about these guys. They have a scent gland on the base of their tail that makes them smell like buttered popcorn. And the largest is the Galapagos.
Galapagos, yeah.
So you want to hear my tortoise story?
Sure thing.
So I was living in Laguna Hills, and I was walking to the school, and there was a big tortoise walking down the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, those kids are going to get out of school and they're going to hurt him. So I bent down, I picked him up and ran with him to my backyard and went to every house to find out who he belonged to because I was scared to death the kids would hurt him. And I didn't find out till the next day, so we were out there holding him and feeding him stuff, and he was happy.
It's been broken up into separate species, and so now these guys are classified as critically endangered.
Oh, almost.
Center, nurse back to health, but they got imprint on humans, so they're deemed non-releasable, so that's how she ended up here with us. If you guys would like to, you can use a flat hand, touch her right across her back. They're actually not native here. They were introduced to the West Coast back in the early 1900s. Most likely a combination of reasons, the pet trade, fur trade. People were also hunting them for meat as well. But we don't classify them as invasive because they actually don't harm any of our native wildlife here.
No.
They're actually pretty beneficial because they...
Can Max get in a photo with you?
Of course.
I've got the video, but I'll take a photo from it, so it's fine. Aw.
That help pass on diseases, so they're actually very beneficial to have.
Oops, you lost that one out of your mouth. Wanted a grape instead?
And they are the United States' only marsupials, so the females do have a pouch on their stomach. When they're born, only about the size of a jelly bean. And they can have up to 19 of those jelly beans at one time. And she can do that 2 times a year. So that's potentially up to 38 babies every single year.
Nice.
Don't do that for very long, though. Have very short lifespans, usually only about 1 to 2 years in the wild. Even under human care, only about 3 or 4 years.
Really?
Yes, because unlike most mammals, they never stop growing. So as they get bigger and older, they get a lot of mobility issues, and it also makes them very prone to cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Our oldest one here, actually, we had to put her down a couple months ago. She was about 4 years old.
I didn't know they had such short lives.
So this is a possum or an opossum?
So in the States, you can use the terms interchangeably, but technically, the possums, without an O, those are the ones found in Australia.
Honey is an African pygmy hedgehog. These little guys actually have over 3,000 spines on their body. And they're
Like
kind of
pokey or?
yes, so they're kind of like toothpicks. That's the best way I could describe that.
Not like
The wrong
porcupines.
way, you're getting 5 toothpicks in your arm.
No, they don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta go with the grain, not against it. And they're kind of different because we have a porcupine here, so they're a little bit different from quills. Quills are hollow, and these are definitely a little bit more dense feeling. But they have over 3,000 on their body.
There's a lot of these in Europe.
Yes, yes. Or Africa. You see them all over Africa. So she has these spines all over except her face, her legs, and her stomach. So what they do to protect themselves in the wild, because lions and hyenas really like to eat these little guys, they're able to completely roll up into a ball. And by doing that, the spines contract, and we have some hedgies here that are not as easygoing as Honey here, so we have to use mitts when picking them up because they just get in that ball and they won't come out. So they're able to touch their nose to their belly button and tuck their legs in, so that's how they protect all of the soft little parts.
What do they do in the wild?
Curl up.
They curl up, or sometimes it's really helpful. They can grab onto leaves and stuff like that with their little the hairs on their sides, so they can pick up leaves or debris and kind of try to blend in.
Okay.
Or, you know, the spines don't really keep lions and hyenas away completely. If they're hungry enough, they're gonna find them. So they have another trick, and it's kind of gross, but they find the biggest pile of elephant poop. and roll around in it. Yeah.
It's a natural repellent.
Yes. So
It's
they
like deer hunters putting
Yeah.
deer urine on them.
so they completely cover their body in
They don't.
fecal matter, and they do not want to put that in their mouth.
That's desperation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So these little guys, they have these great big ears, and they have good eyes and a great sense of smell, and that helps them a lot because they're nocturnal. So when they look for food, it's at night. So they're able to sniff out any type of insects really easily. They use their little paws to dig and do things like that. These guys actually, they have a nickname in Africa. They're called Rafiki. And that basically means friend in Swahili, because these guys like to eat venomous snakes and spiders and things like that the people of Africa really don't like having around. So
And this is a baby, so how big do the big ones get? Like
this
big?
is a full size.
That's a full size.
So-
and they can take on a snake.
Yeah, they can eat some snakes. She just pooped on me. It's
Sorry.
It's a part of the job. But so that's why they're pygmy hedgehogs. So they're
Okay.
smaller.
But there are big ones.
There
Okay.
are bigger ones, but this type of species is a pygmy. So she's gonna be like this her whole life, and she is full grown.
And how long?
You know what I mean by the toothpicks? It definitely feels like that.
Oh, yeah. It's like you get loofah.
Oh, wow.
Isn't she cute?
She is one of our sweet ones. So who's like, grab honey. I'm like, no problem. I love her. Where people picture an armadillo like rolling down the road. But these guys actually, there's 19 different species of armadillo, and only one can actually completely roll into a ball. So I'm gonna surprise you. This is a European legless lizard. So technically,
It's a lizard, not a
it's
snake.
a lizard.
What's the difference?
So what makes Legolas here, that's his name,
Legolas.
I like it.
a lizard is
Lord of the Rings, Legolas.
he has eyelids and actually has ears, like visible ears on the outside, so that's what makes him a lizard. One interesting thing about these guys is
He got
that
chipped.
you can see he has a lateral line right here.
Yeah.
So where it ends is where technically his body ends and where his tail begins. So his tail begins about halfway, covers about half of his body.
Yeah, I can see that.
Unlike with snakes, their lateral line ends like very down, and their tail is technically like a couple inches of their body. So he actually has a nickname, these guys, called the glass lizards, and it's because these guys can actually drop their tail just like any lizard. And when they drop their tail, it shatters into like multiple pieces.
Oh, wow.
I'm surprised they let you handle them, because it seems like they would do that, but I guess not.
Legolas is very calm. He's a very calm. We've got other lizards that are definitely more
Spinning around.
little feisty, but yeah. So they
Look at
can
him rolling.
shatter. They can shatter their tails like that, which I think is just amazing. They also, these guys live in sand dunes, so that's. They are. She is so calm. She's so cute.
Is she fully grown?
Yes. So she has these little stubby legs. They do not run that fast. So to compensate for that,
The ones that I have that visit my area don't use the legs that much. They use mainly the tail, the slither like the snake approach.
yeah. So definitely probably smaller ones.
Yeah.
It's a lot
Yeah.
easier for them to move that way. But she's got this weird like tubby body.
Yeah.
But she has these really tiny arms and
T-Rex arms.
she does, and so to compensate for that, they dig underground.